Happy Friday. Welcome to Spicer and Company. I'm Sean Spicer.
And I'm Alex Sawyer, sitting in for Lindsay Keith. There's new development in Michael Flynn's legal battle. A federal appeals court will reconsider the order to dismiss his criminal case. This is the latest twist in a years-long legal drama for the former Trump national security advisor.
Yeah, Alex, welcome. It's great to have you here. We've been talking about this, if you guys have been watching the show, for a long time. The DOJ, as you remember, wanted to drop the case against Michael Flynn. Then the judge in the case said, no, I'm not going to let you drop the case. Then a judge told that judge, he said, yeah, you have to drop the case. Now the entire circuit court is telling them that they're going to hear the whole case when they sit. Well, here to break this all down is the man that continuously gives us insight into what's really happening, is Professor Emeritus at Harvard University, Newsmax analyst, and author of Guilt by Accusation, which is still free on Kindle, awesome on Amazon, wherever you want to get it. Professor, last time you urged Flynn not to pop the champagne, you said he could have a beer or two, and you, as always, were right. But before we get to Flynn, I just want to give you a chance. I know I want you to respond to some of these documents that came out online regarding the Jeffrey Epstein case, regarding you and some attempts to apparently craft immunity for yourself. I want to let you respond to these documents that have come out online.
Well, they haven't just come out. I asked for them to come out. I asked for everything to be unsealed. I don't want anything sealed. I don't want anything redacted. Every video, every photograph should come out because I did nothing wrong. And all the evidence will prove that. These newly released documents include emails from the woman who accused me in which she essentially admits she never met me and never heard of me. And then she's told to put me in the book. It'll help her sell the book. So she puts me in her manuscript, which was also unsealed yesterday. And in the manuscript, she essentially said she never met me. She saw me once talking to Jeffrey Epstein, but she never met me. And this is a manuscript in which she names George Mitchell as somebody she had sex with, bunches of other people that she claimed she had sex with. But when it comes to me, even though she was told to put me in the book, she basically says, no, but I didn't have sex with Alan Dershowitz. I just saw him once talking to Jeffrey Epstein. So these are smoking guns that prove categorically that this woman, with the help of her lawyers, made up this story for money. And there ought to be investigations. This is a woman who has roiled 3 continents. She has affected elections in Israel by accusing Ehud Barak. She has affected the British royal family. She has accused many American politicians, Bill Richardson, Leslie Wexner, you name it. She's gone through basically Jeffrey Epstein's Rolodex, found every famous person. She has accused Al Gore and Tipper Gore of cavorting with Epstein on the so-called pedophile island. She has accused Bill Clinton. And she's made up so many stories that the media should be investigating her. I invite the media to investigate me. I wrote a column for the Wall Street Journal urging the FBI to investigate me because I have nothing to hide. I've had sex with one woman since the day I met Jeffrey Epstein, my wife. I don't flirt, I don't touch, I don't hug. I am totally and completely innocent, and I invite a complete and thorough investigation.
And I know you're close to the president, too, and I wanted to ask you, there was references to these unsealed documents, not just your name, but also a major hotel chain owner. And there's been accusations out there on social media that that's President Trump. Since you're close to him, what were your thoughts on that?
No, it isn't. I know who it is. It's the owner of a hotel chain in Chicago, a relative of the governor of Chicago, Pritzker. And I know that through my own investigation. She's accused him also. She's accused everybody. If you were in Epstein's Rolodex, you get accused. Al Gore and Tipper Gore, she swore that she saw him walking on the beach with Jeffrey Epstein. Al Gore never met Jeffrey Epstein, didn't even know who he was. She swore she was with Bill Clinton and 2 young girls. Secret Service records prove that isn't true. Her own lawyer say they don't believe her, that no prominent public people are involved, and that Leslie Wexner is telling the truth when he denies that she had sex with him on 5 to 10 occasions. If her own lawyers don't believe her, why should the media believe her? Why should anybody believe her?
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've covered that pretty clearly, and I don't see too many people who are innocent inviting the FBI to come in. I think after the whole Mueller experience, you know as well as I do that those guys will find anything. So you inviting them in is a pretty clear sign. Let's switch gears then because you always help break this Flynn situation down so well. Where are we now, and what are the next steps?
There'll be an argument on, I think, August 11th in front of the entire NBank court, I think 10 judges will sit. They will probably send the case back to Sullivan saying, you know, the mandamus writ may have been issued too quickly by the 3-judge panel. You should hold a hearing, but unless you find there was actual corruption, bribery, who knows, financial corruption, you really have no power to become anything other than an umpire. The Constitution says in Article 3 that judges can sit only in cases and controversies. And when you have no controversy, when the government says dismiss and the defendant says dismiss, there's nothing to umpire. It's as if in a baseball game.
Do you think well, I was going to ask you, with this being a circuit court with the majority of the judges appointed by Democratic presidents, is there any sort of fear for Flynn that he might not get a fair case there at the en banc hearing?
Well, I would hope the judges would be fair. You know, judges are not supposed to reflect the views of those who appoint them. I want to go back to my analogy. Let's assume there's a batter and a pitcher. And of course, the pitcher wants every pitch to be called a strike. The batter wants every pitch to be called a ball. The umpire has to make the decision. But let's assume the manager says, let's automatically walk this guy. Let's walk him and send him to first base. And the umpire says, no, I don't like that. I want him back. The umpire would have no such power to do that. There's no dispute. Both sides want him to be walked. And so he gets walked. And in a case like this, when you have both sides saying dismiss, there's good reasons to dismiss. The attorney general has laid them out. The judge shouldn't be serving as a prosecutor in robes. The judge should simply be deciding controversies and not getting involved and butt in to cases where there's no dispute.
You know, Professor, you brought this up before. If the appeals court sends it back to Sullivan, Sullivan's the guy who's already been very clear what he thinks of General Flynn, where he thinks it should go. How can a guy, to your analogy, be an umpire who says, I don't want you to bat, I think you're a bad batter, I think you should be out? He can't now judge the game if he's already predetermined that the batter should be out and he's going to call all strikes.
Of course, and he's already said that he's thinking about either holding Flynn in contempt or sending him to the Justice Department for a perjury prosecution because he first pleaded guilty. Of course he pleaded guilty. His kids were threatened. His fortune was threatened. He was told he had no choice but to plead guilty. But then he got a new set of lawyers who said, no, there's corruption. In this case, there are all kinds of problems. The FBI hasn't produced the 302s. There's a good reason for the Justice Department to throw the case out. The Justice Department agreed. That should be the end of the matter under the Constitution. But we'll see. The circuit court is unpredictable. As you say, I think 7 Democrats, 3 Republicans, 1 Republican recused himself, as far as I heard. I'm not sure. I'm just reporting what I heard. I hope the court will give a fair hearing, and I think the constitutional rule is clear. When both sides agree, the federal court has no jurisdiction to overrule both sides unless there's actual corruption, bribery, or something like that. And there's no allegation here. Here, the allegation is maybe played a role. That politics always plays a role. That's not surprising. That's not enough to give the court jurisdiction to undo an agreement between the prosecution and the defense.
All right. Well, Professor, clearly we have not heard the last of this. I appreciate you breaking it down for us. As always, you always steer us in the right direction, and I'm glad you had an opportunity to respond to these documents that are out there. I appreciate that. Have a great weekend. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys. Here's something really interesting. Police agencies and departments are pulling out of security agreements to cover the Democratic National Committee. Former police chief Dan Linsky is here to tell us why. And radio host Joe Pags is here to tell us why he was banned from Twitter. Another conservative voice was silenced and shamed. You're going to want to hear why.